The story kicks off with a wild, jaw-dropping mystery on the Gaia continent. Monsters are vanishing without a trace. At first, people were freaking out, thinking these creatures were being wiped out. But it's something way stranger. Turns out, they're being teleported to another dimension. Enter this mysterious mage, who's been obsessively chasing answers for years. After pouring his soul into research, he's finally ready to take the ultimate leap into the unknown. His heart races. This is it. The moment he's been waiting for. He's about to crack open the secrets of interdimensional travel, and he's buzzing with excitement. The scene is straight up magical. The mage stands in a glowing magic circle, the runes beneath his feet blazing with fiery intensity. The air hums, thick with energy, buzzing with the raw power of mana from the Great Labyrinth, a legendary dungeon packed with untold forces. His pulse quickens. Everything he's worked for is about to unfold. With adrenaline pumping, he throws his arms up, unleashing a shout of pure exhilaration. Let's go. The room erupts in a blinding surge of energy. Symbols flare to life. The vortex spins into a wild frenzy. It's happening. But then, just when victory feels within his grasp, everything falls apart. Horribly. His confident smirk vanishes as mana spirals wildly out of control. The walls twist, the air distorts. His heart skips a beat. No way, he whispers, his voice trembling as his eyes widen in sheer disbelief. The crushing reality hits him like a wave. He didn't cross dimensions. Instead, he sent the entire freaking dungeon into another dimension. It completely vanished. And there he stands, frozen, feeling like the biggest fool alive, as where the dungeon once stood is now just emptiness. His mind races. Why did only the dungeon get transported, and not me? Meanwhile, in another dimension, a man stares in shock as a glowing portal materializes in his attic, mirroring the mage's bewilderment. The story shifts to a mega mall, where we meet Kang Jin-hyuk, a D-rank hunter whose life couldn't be more different. He's standing there, weighed down by a water jug, completely zoned out, lost in a sea of thoughts, while some high school girls nearby gush over their perfect brother, Jun. Jun's the best. He's so focused, they gush, but Jin-hyuk barely hears them. He's spiraling, deep in his own frustration, wondering if he'll ever get the life he dreams of with his trash-tier skill. His chest tightens. He's stuck in a rut, doubting if he'll ever be anything more than a low-level hunter grinding away at a dead-end life. As doubt consumes him, his coworker snaps him back to reality. They're behind on their shift. Jin-hyuk throws a sharp, frustrated glance at his team, the weight of his discontent hanging heavy on his shoulders. He's fed up with this low-paying job, but there's no other way to earn money. His mind keeps spinning with doubt as the team gears up to move out in their truck. In the truck, Jin-hyuk tries to keep it casual, chatting with a part-time worker, cracking jokes about how being a hunter makes him immune to the cold and heat. But beneath the surface, reality stings. The truth, being a D-rank hunter is brutal. The money's non-existent, the big guilds have everything locked down, and he's barely scraping by with part-time work, while the higher ranks live large. The pressure builds in his chest. His life feels like a never-ending grind. Then the conversation takes a dark turn. Talk of a serial killer targeting top-tier guild members spreads tension through the air. Jin-hyuk shrugs, making a sarcastic crack about how the elites must be losing their minds now that they can't track down the killer. But before the banter can continue, a scream pierces the distance, sharp and terrifying. Something's gone horribly wrong. Jin-hyuk doesn't hesitate. Adrenaline floods his veins. Could be a terrorist attack, could be a monster outbreak. It doesn't matter. He's charging into danger like it's second nature, ignoring the workers' shouts to stop. When he arrives at the scene, his heart pounds as he takes in the chaos. Civilians are screaming, terrified. It's clear they need a hunter. Activating his inventory, he grabs his only weapon, a beat-up metal baseball bat, and prepares to face whatever horror awaits. Monsters are near, and he knows only hunters can break through their energy. It's time to act. He's all in, laser-focused. He has to move fast before the bigger guilds swoop in and steal the win. If he can take down a few monsters, his money problems are solved for a year. But just as he's about to strike, the Titan Guild storms in, led by En Doyeon, their ruthless deputy guild master. In a heartbeat, Doyeon throws Jin-hyuk to the ground, his voice a growl of authority. This is Titan's territory, he snarls, making it crystal clear Jin-hyuk isn't welcome here. Jinhyuk's gut twists. Despite being the first on the scene, he's powerless against the raw strength of the Titan Guild. He tries to push back, but Doyen effortlessly beats him down. Doyen's arrogance radiates as he sneers at Jinhyuk. "Who do you think you are, trash?" The words cut deep, and the threat is unmistakable. Cross them again, and it's over. Doyen's smirk is cold, while Jinhyuk's face contorts with frustration, the gulf between them painfully clear. No matter how hard he tries, he's outclassed, and the gap in power is suffocating. Is this the difference between a D rank and a major guild hunter? Jinhyuk thinks, the question weighing heavy on his spirit. Beaten and humiliated, Jinhyuk drags himself home, mentally shattered by the day's events. The dark, moody city streets mirror his descent into bitterness and self-doubt. His thoughts swirl with rage and helplessness, the Titan Guild's tyranny looming large in his mind. As he enters his dimly lit room, intrusive thoughts flood in, dark and twisted. He almost wishes the serial killer would target the Titan Guild next. The weight of his failure is crushing, his inner voice whispering in defeat. If only I were stronger. It's suffocating, and he's beyond tired of being at the bottom. But just as he begins to sink into despair, something strange jolts him back. A noise, unfamiliar and eerie, comes from his attic. His pulse quickens, tension building as shadows flicker around him. He climbs to investigate, and his world flips upside down. There, glowing in his attic, is a portal, a freaking dungeon, right in his house. The glowing light spills out, drawing him in, his mind racing. Then he spots it, a goblin. But it doesn't even notice him. As he cautiously steps closer, it dawns on him. The goblin can't see him. His heart skips. How is this possible? Why can't the goblin attack him? A slow grin spreads across his face, as he knows that his plot armor has finally arrived. The scene cuts to Jinhyuk, grabbed a cold drink and thought, could this be a dungeon that's only existed as a concept until now? As he chugged down the drink, he debated whether to report this to the association or keep it quiet. He knew that if he reported it, they'd kick him out of his house under the guise of an on-site investigation. After some internal debate, Jinhyuk made his choice. Rather than handing over a gold mine to the association, he decided to take it for himself. There's one problem. What if monsters start coming through? Armed with a metal bat, he entered the dungeon to see what's going on. With his current abilities, he could only handle 2 or 3 goblins at best. He entered the dungeon and instantly got a confirmation. He was on the first floor of a goblin maze. His guess was right. It's a real dungeon. Suddenly, the eerie cry of a goblin filled the air. Startled, dodged an attack and quickly retreated through the portal, hoping the monsters wouldn't follow him. To his relief, the goblins couldn't see him or come through the portal. This gave him newfound confidence. No reason to be scared now. Seizing the moment, smashed the goblin in the face with his bat, sending the creature's weapon flying. He followed up with a stab to the chest, finishing it off. Even as he did so, he muttered, "Don't look at me like that, I'm pretty desperate too." He continued pummeling the goblin, feeling the weight of fighting solo for the first time. This moment was a game changer for Jinhyuk. For years, his level hadn't risen, but with this one goblin kill, his experience skyrocketed. It made him realize just how oppressive the big guild's control over hunting grounds was. The big guilds hoarded all the resources, leaving little for the smaller hunters. Then, a thought hit him. Goblin corpses are valuable. He remembered that a goblin corpse used to sell for at least 3 million won. With a grin, wondered how much this goblin could fetch. He headed over to the Hunter Exchange Center to cash in. At the counter, he confidently placed the goblin corpse on the table. However, the staff immediately noticed that Jinhyuk didn't have much hunting experience and critiqued how the goblin was killed. Apparently, sloppiness lowered its market value, but they still offered 3.2 million won. Just as the staff were about to process the sale, they asked where he hunted the goblin. Hesitated. Revealing the location of his personal dungeon could ruin his whole plan. But before he could respond, things took a sudden turn. A group of hunters from the Black Dragon Guild stormed in, looking for someone who supposedly stole a monster from their hunting grounds. These guys were like a pack of hyenas, intimidating and ready for a fight. But quickly realized they weren't after him. Instead, they were gunning for some blonde guy in the corner. With a sigh of relief, narrowly avoided conflict, but the tension in the air was palpable. The tension hits the roof as the guild members corner a blonde guy, their faces twisted in rage as they unleash a flurry of punches. His friend, totally freaked out by the brutal beatdown, yells, "What the hell are you doing?" The guild members, dripping with menace, shoot back with, "This man illegally hunted monsters in our guild's territory." Things spiral out of control with accusations and threats flying everywhere. Meanwhile, Jinhyuk is fuming with a fire in his eyes, thinking, "If I want to avoid clowns like these, I need to level up. Just you wait, you dirty punks, I'm gonna get stronger. And it's all gonna start with that dungeon." As he stands there looking serious and determined, Jinhyuk finally goes back home, but let's be real, he's already itching to jump back into the dungeon grind. My guy's on a mission to power up, and he's not wasting any time. He's all geared up, running through his checklist, like he's about to drop into a high-stakes game. Among the essentials? A return stone, a pricey 1,000,001 lifesaver. But when you're knee-deep in dungeon danger, it's worth every penny. And let's not forget the search radar. Jinhyuk spent 400,000 won on this thing, but it's only good within a 50-meter range. Total buzzkill. But hey, better a weak radar than no radar, right? He's banking on it being enough to dodge any nasty surprises. So Jinhyuk steps into the dungeon, radar in hand, eyes sharp. Boom! First target spotted at 1 o'clock. A goblin. Without a second thought, he's on it. A couple of swift strikes later, and it's game over for the goblin. The sweet level up notification pops up, and you can practically feel the dopamine rush. But this is just the beginning. Jinhyuk's in full beast mode, tearing through goblin after goblin like he's running on turbo. The action here is wild. He's moving like a pro, leveling up faster than you can say, up. We get this epic montage of him grinding from level 4 to 9 in what feels like seconds. The grind is real, but for Jinhyuk, it's necessary. Sure, it's repetitive, but when you're gaining levels this fast, who's complaining? After flexing on the goblins, he finally takes a breather. He leans against a wall, chugs some water, and pulls up his status window to check the level he is on. Yeah, he's leveling up, but he's not exactly god tier yet. Frustration's creeping in. It's a slow climb, but hey, at least he's moving in the right direction. This little moment of calm hits different, like the calm before the next storm. But Jinhyuk's not calling it a day just yet. His inventory's almost full, but he's hunting for one more goblin, hopefully a bigger one that he can profit a lot from. He checks his radar, spotting a target creeping in from 9 o'clock. He crouches down, every sense on high alert. 5 meters? 3 meters? Now! Suddenly, out of nowhere, wham! A helmet flies in front of his eyes. Wait, what? That's definitely not a goblin. Jinhyuk's caught totally off guard. He peeks through the shadows and, yep, there's a human. But not just any human. This dude looks pissed, yelling in a language Jinhyuk can't even begin to understand. The confusion is real. Now here's where things get really weird. This stranger, he's not just angry, he's furious. And poor Jinhyuk is standing there, trying to stutter out an apology that's clearly not landing. He's out of options, so he tries again. But nope, this guy's having none of it. Next thing you know, the stranger pulls out this glowing necklace and gestures for Jinhyuk to wear it. Normally you'd be like, hard pass, but Jinhyuk? Too curious for his own good. As soon as the necklace clicks into place, the stranger's language is finally understandable. You? You little punk? What do you think you're doing? And Jinhyuk? He's floored. Dwarves? Like the mythical race straight out of fantasy books? But this guy's standing right in front of him, full-on armor and everything. But here's the kicker. The dwarf isn't here for a friendly chat. He's loaded with rare gear, the kind of loot you only dream of finding, and he's pissed because Jinhyuk accidentally picked up some of it. Yeah, it's that awkward. And the dwarf? He's making it clear. Give it all back, or things are about to get ugly. Jinhyuk, being the smart guy he is, doesn't argue. He hands everything over, no questions asked, realizing this dwarf is way higher level than him. No way he's winning that fight. The dwarf is fixated on his metal bat, gripping it like he just struck gold. Confused, Jinhyuk asks, "What's wrong with my bat?" But the dwarf's too shook, asking where he got it with a trembling voice, like the bat's some kind of lost artifact. Then the big reveal drops. It's orichalcum. Jinyok's mind races as he processes that his plain old bat is, in fact, made from a legendary metal, way more valuable than he ever realized. The dwarf, now fully geeking out, drags Jinyok to his workshop, hyping up the bat's untapped potential, promising rare loot and all kinds of treasures. Skeptical but intrigued, Jinyok follows, eyes wide as they step into the workshop. A dimly lit treasure trove of glowing weapons and artifacts, practically begging to be picked up. As the dwarf works on the bat, Jinyok's torn between checking out other weapons and wondering if the bat's really all that. But then, with a triumphant shout, the dwarf unveils the transformed bat, now radiating a brilliant red light, pulsing with raw power. Compared to this, the rest is junk, the dwarf says, eyes gleaming. Jinyok grabs the glowing bat, stunned by the transformation. The dwarf explains how orichalcum, weak at first, becomes stronger and redder the more it's enchanted. And just like that, Jinyok's got a weapon that's gone from 0 to overpowered real quick. Jinyok hits a major glow-up in strength that's got a legendary bat that's practically dripping with power, glowing in intense red-crimson light. It used to be just a basic aluminum bat, but now it's a full-on game-changer packed with insane abilities like presence detection and auto-retrieval. Jinyok's mind is racing with thoughts of how much cash he could rake in if only he could sell it. But plot twist, it's bound to him, so no dice there. His frustration is real, but he quickly shifts gears. Not one to waste time, he opens up his inventory and bam! 20 fresh goblin corpses, just chilling there, ready to be sold. But the Hunters Association? No, they're way too sketchy for this type of deal. Instead, he's got a plan, the black market. They always hand out business cards to low-level hunters who are in need. Jinyok pulls up to this rundown abandoned spot that seemed kind of sketchy. Inside, while looking at the business card, he's met by Mr. Cho, also known as the deputy manager of this area, who leads him into the boss place. Lee Jin-chul, a former loan shark, now a monster corpse buyer, sizes him up after asking for what our protagonist got for him. Jinyok opens his inventory and places all the goblin's corpse on the floor. He is shocked that a rookie like Jinyok is bringing in such high-quality goblin corpses. Not 5 or 10, but 20 of them. The tension is thick, especially when the intense negotiation kicks off. Jinyok demands 5 million won per corpse, but Lee's not biting, pointing out the goblins' damaged heads, offering a measly 3.5 million. Jinyok doesn't even flinch. Cool, confident, and smirking, he counters with 4.5 million and holds his ground. The buyer is tensed, but Jinyok say he'll find another buyer then if they don't like the price. The tension cranks up as Jinyok finds himself smack in the middle of chaos. It all starts when a panicked guy sprints to the boss, screaming in full terror that they're doomed because a monster has appeared. Jinyok's heart skips a beat. A monster? His luck really couldn't get worse. Dead monsters, after all, tend to attract even more trouble. As fear tightens its grip, Jinyok quickly demands, "What kind of monster?" The response is chilling. 2 orcs. Sweat drips as Jinyok realizes they're way out of his league. He thinks about bailing, but not without snagging the goblin corpses first. But before he can even react, an eerie sensation crawls up his spine. Something's behind him. Out of the shadows steps an orc, its massive hulking frame towering over him, glowing red eyes full of menace. Jinyok freezes, dread coursing through him. The boss is no help, pathetically begging Jinyok, a hunter, to do something. But Jinyok knows deep down, he's not ready for this. As the Orsi charges, its movements are terrifyingly fast, the huge axe swinging right at him. Jinyok's thoughts scream in desperation, he's done for. But in a miraculous moment, his bat springs out of his inventory, blocking the attack just in time, sending the Orsi stumbling back. Deputy Cho Hung-il and the boss are in shock, their jaws practically hitting the floor, both of them trying to process what they've just witnessed. Jinyok, now laser-focused, quickly pieces it together. The bat must have summoned itself, thanks to the presence detection feature. His thoughts race. Wait, I might actually have a shot at this. His expression hardens as confidence floods back into him. The orc, enraged, lets out a deafening roar and charges again. But this time, Jinyok's ready. "Alright, let's do this," he shouts, squaring his shoulders. He counters the Orsi with a crushing knee strike, knocking it off balance. With a series of powerful hits, Jinyok smashes the Orsi down, the final blow sending it crashing to the ground. Breath ragged but victorious, Jinyok stands tall over his fallen enemy. "I can do this," he exclaims, exhilaration pulsing through him. Just then, a glowing system window appears, flashing, 12 levels up from level 24 to 36. Jinhyuk's eyes widen in disbelief as he realizes the massive leap in power he's just gained. Before he can even celebrate, the boss yells, "Kang Jinhyuk, behind you!" Instincts kicking in, Jinhyuk spins just in time to dodge another vicious attack, another orc. "Whoa, you scared me," he blurts, but annoyance quickly sets in. "Attacking from behind? Seriously?" He narrows his eyes, clenching his bat. "You're next." In one swift motion, Jinhyuk delivers a devastating blow, taking down the second ORC. Another system window appears, leveling him up again, level 36 to 48. The screen fills with Jinhyuk's exhilarated expression as he stands triumphant once more. The battle over, Jinhyuk stares at his enchanted bat in awe. Did I really just take down 2 Ors? He can barely believe it. "These enchanted weapons are seriously OP, he murmurs, still in shock at his newfound strength. Meanwhile, the boss and his crew are still reeling from what they just witnessed. "Boss, what now?" one of the members mutters, but the boss, still dumbfounded, replies, "Be quiet for a moment." The stunned silence says it all. With newfound confidence, Jinhyuk strides over to the boss, his bat casually resting on his shoulder. "All right then," he smirks, "including the 2 ORCs I just took down. How about we restart our negotiations?" His eyes gleam with determination. After all the fuzz and negotiation, he finally went home. Jinhyuk lying on his bed, stunned by the success of his latest deal. He can hardly believe he scored 15% above market price. And as he glances at his phone, the sight of 240 million won in his account brings a sly grin to his face. He recalls the orc he saved Lee Jun-chul from, the guy who's now keeping him in business. But reality hits hard. If he wants to keep hunting tougher monsters, he needs better gear. A cheeky idea flashes in his mind. Maybe he can snag some for free. Determined, Jinhyuk heads to a dingy blacksmith's workshop run by a grumpy dwarf. The atmosphere is thick with soot and suspicion as the dwarf glares him down, asking if Jinhyuk's trying to bribe him. Cool as ever, Jinhyuk presents a sleek box filled with orichalcum and some alcohol on the side. The dwarf, skeptical, takes a sip of the beer Jinhyuk offers and spits it out in disgust. Flustered, Jinhyuk quickly offers soju instead. The dwarf's frown softens, but he's not satisfied. If Jinhyuk wants the dwarf's help, he's got to mine some Mythril. Realizing he's been played, Jinhyuk reluctantly agrees. Now, deep in the eerie forest of the dungeon, Jinhyuk navigates towering trees and moss-covered ground that feels unsettlingly real. As a system window appears, notifying him of his arrival at the second level, the Labyrinth of Dogs and Skeletons, Jinhyuk sets a warp point. A shimmering portal flickers to life, giving him a way back. With steely determination, he steps further into the dark forest, ready to face whatever dangers lie ahead. Jinhyuk venturing deeper into the eerie forest labyrinth, only to be ambushed by a pack of wolves with glowing red eyes. Annoyed but unfazed, Jinhyuk quickly dispatches them with a few swift strikes, leveling up in the process. As the system notifies him of his progress, he realizes the wolves are no match for him, just free experience points. Laughing triumphantly, he revels in the thought of the money he's making from the kobold corpses he's collected, estimating his earnings at 200 million won. However, his greed is short-lived as he suddenly remembers the dwarf's request for Mythril. Panicking, he snaps back to reality, ready to hunt for the elusive mineral. As he ventures further into the labyrinth, the air grows colder, and eerie skeletons start to materialize in the distance. Realizing the Labyrinth of Dogs and Skeletons lives up to its name, Jinhyuk prepares for battle. Though he's annoyed, skeletons aren't worth any money. He charges at the bony foes, but they quickly reassemble after being struck down. Frustrated, Jinhyuk recalls that to defeat them, he needs to destroy their cores. Spotting a glowing orb inside one skeleton's ribcage, he smashes it, watching the creature collapse into a pile of bones. Yet, as more skeletons swarm him, the fight becomes intense. Jinhyuk battles through the relentless horde, his movements sharp as he destroys core after core, but the sheer number of enemies wears him down. Finally, after a grueling fight, Jinhyuk stands victorious amidst a sea of bones, panting heavily. The once noisy dungeon falls silent. As he reflects on the battle, Jinhyuk realizes the dwarf's request for Mythril was probably just an excuse. The crafty old man sent him into the labyrinth to do his dirty work. Just as he starts to laugh at the dwarf's cunning plan, a bright system window appears, informing him that he's reached level 100 and can now change his class. Confident, Jin-hyuk assumes he'll become a warrior. But when the system declares him a cleric, based on his recent actions, his jaw drops in disbelief. Stunned, he stands there, processing the drastic shift in his class, Jin-hyuk muttering in dismay. Seriously? Jin-hyuk strolls into the dwarf's workshop, flexing a pouch of Mythril like it's no big deal. The dwarf? Totally shook that Jin-hyuk even survived the mission. But Jin-hyuk plays it cool with a tired grin, secretly hiding some extra Mythril for himself. Sneaky, right? When he asks for armor that won't draw attention, the dwarf eagerly gets to work, ready to show off his skills. Meanwhile, Jin-hyuk, sick of waiting, went home and rest. After catching some Z's, Jin-hyuk wakes up just in time to see the finished product. When he arrived at the dwarf workshop, the dwarf asked, "Where have you been when I was working?" Jin-hyuk replied, "I was exploring the dungeon a bit," he said that nervously. The dwarf proudly present his work of art, a sleek Mythril chainmail that can be worn under his clothes. At first glance, it looks basic, but when the dwarf suddenly smashes him in the chest with a hammer, Jin-hyuk freaks out, only to realize the armor just ate the hit like it was nothing. With a 50% reduction in both physical and magic damage, he's practically invincible now. His mind is blown as he tries it on, already feeling like a boss. Back at home, Jin-hyuk pops open a flask the dwarf gave him, and bam! The flavor is next level. Storing soju in Mythril barrels makes even cheap stuff taste like top-shelf liquor. Jin-hyuk's hyped, thinking, this dwarf knows how to party. He's on a roll now, making moves and calling up his black market contact to sell some kobold corpses and, randomly, the liquor. Even Kang, his buyer, is confused by the odd pairing. But hey, Jin-hyuk's hustle never stops. Meanwhile, chaos erupts at the Titan Guild. Lizardmen are back, and in bigger numbers than anyone expected. The Vice Guild Master is stressed, but refuses to ask for help, rallying the hunters for an all-out battle, with the guild bracing for a massive showdown. The action kicks off at the bustling Hunter Association, where Jin-hyuk gets congratulated on his promotion to cleric. It's a rare class, and while he wasn't thrilled at first, he quickly realizes the value it brings. When a beaten hunter frantically rushes in looking for help, Jin-hyuk steps up, hesitantly but confidently, embracing his new healing powers. The battlefield is chaotic, with hunters scattered across the battlefield, many of them wounded and barely holding on. As the intense action unfolds, Jin-hyuk, the protagonist, arrives at the outskirts of the battlefield. A hunter approaches a wounded hunter and asks, "Are you okay?" The hunter, grateful for the help, responds with a weak, thank you." Nearby, their leader, a commanding figure, shouts angrily at the retreating hunters, "Hey, keep your head down. Stay focused. Do you both want to die?" His frustration is clear as he watches the hunters lose their nerve in the face of the lizardmen's onslaught. Vice Guild Master, visibly irritated, mentally scoffs at the retreating fighters. He thinks, worthless scum. They're acting all tough because they have someone to rely on. Seriously, he quickly shifts back to action, shouting, "Everyone, hold on, I'll wipe them all out." As the Vice Guild Master prepares to attack, one of the hunters warns him, "Vice Guild Master? You can't, you need to command." But the hunter's words are cut short as he is struck down in the chaos. Jin-hyuk is momentarily stunned by the chaotic scene around him. Suddenly, a beaten-up hunter from earlier grabs his arm, urging him, "Just heal like these others here." Jin-hyuk nods and asks if there's anything else he can do to help. The hunter reassures him, "No, just focus on healing, and that'll be enough. Don't worry about the reward. We'll make sure you get it afterward." Jin-hyuk, though hesitant, agrees, thinking to himself, "This looks dangerous. But as long as I get paid, it's fine." Steeling himself, he raises his hand and commands his healing magic, shouting, "Heal." A green light starts to emanating from his hands and went straight to the injured hunter, healing his wound. As the battle rages on, the situation becomes more desperate. More hunters are injured, and the battlefield grows increasingly chaotic. Jin-hyuk hears the desperate cries of an injured hunter. "Gah! Healers! Me too!" He tries to keep up with the mounting injuries, but the sheer number of wounded fighters is overwhelming. Frustration builds within Jin-hyuk as he realizes, no matter how much we do, it's endless. At this rate, we should contact another guild for help. Another healer next to him echoes his concerns, wiping sweat from his brow and saying, "I was just thinking the same thing." The gravity of the situation weighs heavily on Jinhyuk, as he thinks, at this rate, we might all be wiped out. Suddenly, Jinhyuk senses danger from behind. Large lizardman swinging a blade toward him. Before the strike can land, Jinhyuk's crimson bat companion, which had been resting by his side, springs into action, blocking the attack in the nick of time. Jinhyuk's heart skips a beat. Huh? When did they get this close? He exclaims, his eyes widening as he scans the battlefield. Realizing what's happened, he shouts in panic. The rear has been breached. The action kicks off as the lizardmen breach the rear defenses, where Jinhyuk and the clerics are stationed, creating a surge of panic among the healers. If that's the case, only clerics are left in the rear. I have to block them, it's an ambush. The rear has been breached, shouts Jinhyuk, taking charge as the situation spirals. The glasses healer freaks out. How did the monsters get this far? While the blue shirt healer panics, realizing it's a concealment technique. Damn it, this is bad. But Jinhyuk remains calm, stepping up to reassure everyone. It's okay. Focus on healing. I'll handle the rest. His confidence cuts through the chaos, even as the healers look at him in disbelief. Handle them? Aren't you a cleric like us? Glasses healer asks, still doubting. Jinhyuk assesses the battlefield, noticing the Titan Guild struggling to hold the line. Titan is already struggling. I'll deal with this myself, don't worry. With an aura of confidence, Jinhyuk steps forward just as the lizardmen charge. I wouldn't say this if I wasn't confident, he declares, and with swift precision, he intercepts the monsters, cutting them down effortlessly. He continues on a lizardman killing spree, wrestling, smashing, crushing, and stabbing them with his legendary red-crimson bat. As one lizardman tries to sneak up behind him, the lizardman attack is not working on Jinhyuk because of the unique armor from the dwarf. Jinhyuk smirks, clearly enjoying the fight. Surprised your attack didn't land? That's the power of good gear, you bastard. The healers stand in awe, amazed at his ability to hold off the lizardmen alone. How is a cleric doing that? They gasp. Just as things seem to calm down, the tension rises again as a tall figure appears on the battlefield, cutting through the lizardmen with ease. Isn't that So Sang-ho, the Titan Guild master? The healers exclaim, shocked by his sudden arrival. As Seo Sang-ho steps on the battlefield, his presence shifts the entire mood. Calm and commanding, he walks up to Jinhyuk, casually asking, Hey Hunter, did you take care of the enemies here? Jinhyuk modestly replies, Huh? Oh yeah, but who are you? The blue shirt healer, still in awe, whispers, That's S-rank Hunter Seo Sang-ho. Jinhyuk, stunned, mutters, Wait, who? Seo Sang-ho quickly takes control, striking down the remaining lizardmen effortlessly, showcasing the power of an S-rank hunter. Jinhyuk watches in awe, thinking, Incredible. He took out so many in one strike. No wonder he's an S-rank. Everyone is happy that their leader has finally come to their rescue. Not wasting any time, So Sang-ho joins in the battle and quickly turned the tide with his S-rank ability and sheer power, defeating many lizardmen in one blow. But not everyone's happy. And Doyen, the arrogant vice guild master, steps forward with frustration written all over his face. Guild master? How did you know to come here? He growls. A nearby Titan Guild member responds nonchalantly. I called him. There's nothing wrong with asking a guild member for help, is there? With a commanding tone, Seo Sang-ho orders, Those who are low on stamina, fall back. I'll take command of the subjugation from here. Doyen, visibly flustered, watches as Seo Sang-ho wipes out the remaining monsters with one powerful strike. Jinhyuk, still impressed, thinks, This guy is unreal. He only hit the monsters, avoiding all his allies. With the battle wrapped up, Seo Sang-ho turns to Undoyen, clearly furious. This concludes the subjugation. Check the casualties and gather all the loot. He then confronts Undoyen, anger clear in his voice. Undoyen, you crazy bastard. What were you thinking, trying to handle this alone? Were you planning to get us all killed? Undoyen stammers, trying to defend himself. If I had asked for help, it would have damaged the guild's reputation. Seo Sang-ho cuts him off sharply. It's not the guild's reputation you cared about, it's your pride. As tension fills the air, a nearby guild member awkwardly suggests letting the clerics go, breaking the intense moment. Seo Sang-ho softens his tone, turning to Jinhyuk. Apologies for the delay. Thanks to you, our guild members survived. May I ask your name? Jinhyuk replies humbly. Kang Jinhyuk. Seo Sang-ho is clearly impressed, and without hesitation he offers, Join the Titan Guild. We'll waive the joining fees for you. Before Jinhyuk can respond, Undoyen loses his temper. Guildmaster, what are you saying? This guy was a D rank not long ago. But before he can continue, Sang-ho shouts furiously at him. Without Jinhyuk, all of our members and clerics would be dead before I even arrived. He saved lives that would have been lost because of you, crazy idiot. Now, apologize to Jinhyuk. Before Doyen apologized, he was cut off by Jinhyuk. Humbly declined the offer to join the guild, because he can't trust a guild with a vice guild master like Doyen. Hearing this, Doyen anger rise higher than a tsunami. He swiftly charged at Jinhyuk with all his might. But before he can act, Jinhyuk's crimson bat knocks him out cold. So that was easier than I expected, Jinhyuk muses, grinning. The scene later makes headlines. Titan Guild Vice Master, Doyen defeated by C-rank cleric. Back at Titan Guild headquarters, the higher-ups debate how to handle the fallout from Doyen's actions. The guild elder voices concerns. Guildmaster, are you really gonna let this slide? Seo Sang-ho stands firm. Doyen endangered new recruits for his own pride. He's done. That's reason enough to revoke his position. No more discussion. His authority is absolute, and the room falls silent as he ends the debate with finality. In his mind, Sang-ho thought, that guy nagged Jinhyuk? He is no ordinary C-rank cleric. I need to recruit him no matter what. He needs to be in my guild before he gets even stronger. Meanwhile, Jinhyuk sits at his desk at home, reflecting on his recent expenses. He realizes he spent way too much and needs to make more money fast. Smiling, he grabs a beer, thinking, well, I'll figure something out. It's time for my next hunt. Jinhyuk steps out of the portal, eyes gleaming with excitement as he surveys his surroundings, hunting for tougher prey. Hunting the same monsters isn't enough anymore, he thinks, feeling the thrill of leveling up surge through him. Now that I'm stronger, it's time for something more challenging. Looking around the deep, shadowy dungeon, he mutters, seems like I've come pretty deep in, when suddenly an orc charges at him from the darkness. Without flinching, Jinhyuk glares at the sneaky beast, his voice dripping with annoyance. This sneaky bastard, he swiftly stabs the orc in the heart, killing it with one clean blow. But the sound of footsteps echoes through the dungeon as an entire army of orcs appears, their snarls filling the air. Jinhyuk's eyes light up with greed and confidence. If I catch all these guys, I won't have to worry about money for a while, he smirks. Bring it on, you dumbasses. His grin widens as he gets ready for the fight. Time to make some sweet money. He charges headfirst into the orc army, each swing of his weapon cutting down multiple enemies. The battle is fierce, but Jinhyuk emerges victorious, standing over the lifeless bodies of 20 orcs, all of which he quickly stores in his inventory for a quick black market payday. Looks like hunting 20 orcs is no big deal for me now, he mutters, stretching his limbs after the battle. Well, let's see what else this dungeon has to offer. As Jinhyuk moves deeper into the dungeon, he spots a staircase leading down to an eerie-looking temple. His curiosity piqued, he approaches it cautiously. What's that over there? He wonders aloud, feeling a strange vibe from the ancient structure. It looks like some sort of temple. Kinda gives me the creeps. Suddenly, a system window pops up, floating in front of him. You have arrived at the 3rd floor. Temple Guardian's Labyrinth. Oh, the 3rd floor! Looks like I came to the right place. Jinhyuk grins with excitement as the warp gate registers the location for future use. Before he can move forward, the ground beneath him begins to tremble violently. What the? He exclaims, startled, as a massive rocky hand bursts from the ground, reaching straight for him. Jinhyuk barely dodges the attack, his crimson bat automatically blocking the next strike with lightning speed. Damn it, he growls, feeling the power behind the strikes. It's so fast. The dust settles, a massive golem, its body entirely made of stone, emerges from the earth, towering over Jinhyuk. Yura? Golem? He says, recognizing the creature. I've heard about these things before. Artificially created monsters. Jinhyuk analyzes the creature's movements as it lunges at him again, but he dodges, calculating his next move. If it's only physically strong but not smart. With a powerful swing, he smashes the golem's head, shattering it into pieces. But to his shock, the golem reassembles almost instantly, rising again as if nothing happened. Fuck, Jinhyuk exclaims, wide-eyed. I smashed its head and it's still alive? Suddenly, a memory clicks. Wait, I remember now. This thing doesn't die unless you destroy the core. His eyes scan the golem's body, searching for the weak point. As he prepares to retreat, another golem grabs his leg, squeezing with crushing force. Before it can finish the job, an arrow flies through the air, striking the first golem in the chest, destroying it instantly. That's it, Jinhyuk exclaims, realizing the core is in the center of the golem's chest. With renewed focus, he swiftly destroys the golem's core and frees himself, quickly taking out the golem that had grabbed his leg. The battle finally ends, leaving Jinhyuk breathing heavily. Phew, that was close, he mutters, wiping the sweat from his brow. If it weren't for that arrow earlier, I might have been done for. Jinhyuk looks around, searching for the mysterious figure who saved him. Who helped me just now? He wonders aloud. Did the dwarf follow me down here? Turning around, his eyes widen in shock as he sees not a dwarf, but a tall figure standing in the shadows, their long, pointed ears catching the faint light of the dungeon. Wait a minute. Those ears? No way. An elf?
Subscribe!